guys, what's up? Welcome back to Haley's Comment. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my biggest regret from high school. I'm sharing this today in hopes that some of you guys in high school who are watching this can learn from my experience and better your own. But first and foremost, if you're new here, my name is Haley. I make mental health videos, advice videos, and just all sorts of sit down and talk type videos. So if that sounds interesting at all, please subscribe. I know people a lot of times say like, no regrets, man. But let's be honest here, like, we're human beings. We have regrets, like, stop lying to yourself. Before I kind of get into what my regret was, I want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory. So I was pretty much set up for failure in high school. My entire life I'd gone to Catholic school and there were like 12 kids in my entire class and it was the same 12 kids every single year. So I really didn't have a lot of experience in social situations. I did end up transferring before high school. So there were a few months left in the 8th grade and I transferred to the local public school. First time in a new school, first time in a public school. And the reason why I went is a whole long story for another day. But the point is here, I made friends super quickly and I hung out with them all the time and it was just a great time for me. Now in middle school, I wasn't very self-aware yet, as most middle schoolers aren't, and also I had ADHD on top of that, so I was just kind of doing me and not really paying attention to what anybody else thought of me or anything like that, and so that's why I was so easily able to make friends in middle school. But after the year ended, I was really sad because I knew that I was going to be going to Catholic school for high school. I mean, I was going to have to leave all those friends that I made behind and just start fresh again at a Catholic school. The next year came, I went to this Catholic high school and it was a lot bigger than the grade school that I had gone to. My Catholic grade school was very small. There were others in the area that were bigger than it. The kids who went to that high school from the bigger grade schools already had their friend groups, already had cliques. Everyone already had friends the minute you got there. But at first I was oblivious to this and I was just excited to go to high school, make some new friends, have a good time. One of the first few days of high school, I saw this random person and I was just like, all right, let's try it out. Let's try to make some friends. And so I went up to this person and I was like, hey, can I sit here? He said no. He literally said no, and I was like, oh, okay. So I went and sat by myself. And from then on, I really didn't talk to people. Like, I let this one experience of this dumb 14-year-old kid saying no to me completely discourage me from talking to anybody else, trying to make any other friends, which was so stupid of me. And it didn't help that I didn't like the majority of the people at this school, to be completely honest, and the majority of them didn't like me. Again, story times for another day. I had extreme difficulty making friends at this school. I hated it, and so eventually I transferred to the public school. It took a lot of begging to get my parents to allow me to go to a public school again, but eventually they caved and I was so excited because I had made all those friends in middle school and I was so excited to go back to them. But middle school and high school are so different. The friends that people had made freshman year were kind of solidified. It had nothing to do with what people had been doing in middle school. Like, those friend groups really didn't apply anymore. So transferring in, I was already super disadvantaged at this point because number one, I was transferring in sophomore year. It's super hard to make friends if you're transferring in. I'd grown up with super poor social skills because I'd been around the same like 12 kids my entire life. And I was feeling really discouraged because I just spent an entire year in a school filled with people that did not like me. So I didn't go in with my head held high, so to speak. I was really hesitant to talk to people. I figured everyone wasn't gonna like me. I'd wanted to try, and so I started making friends through friends that I already knew. They were kind of introducing me to people, and so eventually I made this core group of friends that I would sit with every day at lunch. I liked them, but I had no other option but to sit with them because I literally didn't know anyone else. This was like the emo kid table or like the outcast table that I was sitting at. I never tried to make friends with people outside of like what I would consider an outcast because I just assumed that they wouldn't like me from my past experiences. So I would never talk to people that weren't weird. I didn't want to get rejected. So I'd sit at this table and there's this one kid who sat there who was always super mean to me. This kid was a jackass. He was mean to so many people for literally no reason at all, and a lot of people would stick up to him and just kind of be mean back or whatever, but I didn't, and so I guess I was just an easy target for him, and so he would kind of be mean to me every single day and just make fun of me, and he thought it was so fucking funny. I don't know why I put up with it, other than I was sitting at this table with a bunch of people that I liked besides him, and they were the only people that I fucking knew. So I just kind of put up with it, and it sucked, and it made me more and more quiet as the year went on because he got more and more mean as the year went on. So there there was this other kid at the same table that I sat with at lunch. No one really liked him. No one disliked him, but no one really liked him. He was just kind of there, if that makes sense. He didn't really have any other friends, and so he sat at our table, and that was fine. And eventually I kind of realized that nobody liked him, and I kind of realized that everyone would act like neutral toward this kid making fun of me, maybe because they were just used to him making fun of everybody, but I kind of took that as none of these people actually like me. They're just putting up with me. I'm just sitting here because they feel bad for me because I don't have anywhere else to go. I just convinced myself that none of the people that I'd been hanging out with all year actually liked me. And that was really sad for me because I thought I had kind of made this group of friends. That year ended, and then the next year I had lunch with some of the same people. We didn't have the same lunches every single year, but a lot of the same people were at that lunch, and so I started sitting with them again because I didn't know anybody else. Like, I had no other person to sit with. I wasn't trying to make friends anymore. You know, everyone had their solidified friend group, so I just kind of sat with those same people. I did know other people in the school, but I just knew them from like classes or organizations that I was involved in, and so again, I convinced myself that it weren't for those things, then no one would actually like me. But really, I just wasn't willing to open myself up to even try that. Like, I hadn't even tried that at this school. I just assumed that they didn't like me. Not that far into the year, I kind of decided that none of these people at this table probably even like me. Why am I even trying? And so I started to eat lunch in the journalism room. A lot of people at my school ate lunch in the journalism room or different like rooms for the organizations that they're involved in. We would just all eat lunch in there together, and no one would really talk to me. They would all just kind of talk amongst themselves, but no one would talk to me. So I was just kind of like there. Like, I would just silently eat my food and like listen to everyone else chatting, but I would never say anything. But at this point, I was so afraid that if I said anything, that everyone would stop liking me. And eventually, I started to think that because no one would talk to me, that everyone must hate me. Everything in my life it all revolves around everyone must hate me. But anyway, so I started to convince myself that no one liked me. Again, same situation as before. And so I would spend less time eating with them, and I would spend more time working on the computer. So now I was splitting my time. I would eat for half the lunch. It was only like 20 minutes long anyway, so I'd eat for like 10 minutes, and then I would go and like do my journalism work on the computer. And this was an easy out for me because it made it look like, oh, I'm just so dedicated, I'm so determined. I mean, I was, like, don't get me wrong, but the reason I was doing it at lunchtime was because I didn't want to socialize with people. And eventually this turned to just skipping lunch altogether. I wouldn't eat at school at all. I would just go straight to working. Lunchtime was just another class period for me. I was always so ahead that I would often run out of things to do either during lunch or actually during class, which is ridiculous. And on top of that, I would go hungry for the entire rest of the day. Like, the classes that I'd have at the end of the day, I was doing even worse in than I probably otherwise would have. I always had math at the end of the day. And if you guys don't know, I'm terrible at math. I had that added layer of I'm starving. You know, I'd always wanted to do things like go to football games or, you know, go out with friends. It seemed fun, but in the moment, I would feel so panicky. I would feel so fearful of how everyone was gonna perceive me that it wasn't fun. So basically in high school, I just ended up running away from everybody, shutting myself off in fear of rejection, didn't even let myself get rejected because I just assumed that I would be. I stopped opening myself up and just started convincing myself that no one would like me if I did. And let me tell you guys, I've never regretted something so much in my entire life. I never got that high school experience. Looking back at high school now that I'm 23, like, I didn't have any memorable experiences in high school. High school is supposed to be one of the best parts of your life, and a lot of people debate whether that's actually true, but it's certainly one of the most memorable. But it wasn't for me. It was long and it was painful, and I didn't have any fun experiences because I didn't let myself. I never got to be fully myself. I never let my guard down and just had fun. I lived out of fear, so I wasn't living at all. And like, at the time, I didn't realize what I was missing out on. I didn't realize like how much of your life you look back on your high school experience. When I went to college, I had that true college experience. It was kind of a reset for me. I went in another state and I was just fully ready at that point to open myself up more. I'm still working on it to this day, but now that I'm older, it makes me really sad that I missed out on that in high school because I didn't let myself have it. Now, I know that was like really depressing, but I really wanted to share with you guys my biggest regret because I know so many of you who watch YouTube are in high school. It's so much easier to just be doing what I did, you know, or eat lunch in the bathroom, but you're gonna regret it forever. Like, looking back, I would have much rather have been rejected 9 times out of 10 because there's always that 1 in 10 chance that I would have made a friend and I would have been able to enjoy my high school experience besides like just running from it. it. It's better to be rejected than to never try at all. Alright guys, I hope that this was helpful to some of you. Let me know your experiences down below. Sorry I got a little dark. Anyway, subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. I got a new background if you didn't notice. Hopefully you guys like it. I thought it went with my theme well. Anyway, I will see you next week. Bye guys.